Hi and welcome back to my channel. I'm Tony. This is my workshop, and if you follow me you know that we're right in the middle now. I'd say we're in the middle of building this incredible Jagdpanther G2, this huge 1:6 scale full metal tank from Armortek, and it is a joy to work on. I can only just take my hat off and to the Armortek team over there. They've absolutely kicked it out of the park with this. Just incredibly beautifully make it. All their kits are, but this, out of all the kits I've built so far, this has probably been the most enjoyable because it's just so easy to work on, and it's so big and huge, and I love it. I love it. Anyway, in the last session we built these and installed the sprocket wheels. The idler wheels are just outside of camera, and we did the track tensioning system. So we've really moved the build on now to a point that I think it's time to build and install the tracks just to test the whole system. If you're building one of these kits for the first time, you'll find that the instructions tell you to do the tracks at the end of the build. Well, they indicate to do the tracks at the end of the build. I think the best time to build the tracks is now. So you're ready, you've got all your wheels on, you've got your sprockets on, you've got all your track tensioning system. It's really essential to put the tracks on now, test them, and if you're happy with them, you're happy with the tension on them, you can then remove them, get them painted, and then just stow them away out of the way until the end of the build. So the life is really easy towards the end. If you try and do it later on in the build, it's going to be mud guards to deal with, and it just gets really challenging. So I personally like to do it at this stage. We're all different, I know that, but this is what I would recommend. So in today's session we're going to build 2 tracks, 85 links either side, and to do that you're going to get 2 great big bags of links from Armortek. I've already opened this, of course, because I've built a small section of 20 links or so just to help me with the setting up of the sprocket and the wheels and all the rest of it. And in this bag you've just got an absolute ton of these links. Now these are all they're identical, so don't get too hung up. They're not like left and right or anything like that. But I'll sort of talk you through the directional side of it. But as far as all the links are concerned, they're all identical. So you're going to need all your links. You're going to need a bag of pins, this heavy old bag of steel pins here. And just one thing of note on these pins, where the end of the pin is where the split pin goes through, sometimes through the manufacturing process you get a little bit of swarf left over, and if you don't remove that you will not be able to pass it through the holes in the actual track link itself. So you just use a bit of sandpaper or a little file to remove that, or in my case I'll probably use my bench sander. And that's that. Then you get a bag of washers. Now if you've opened your kit and you've got all your parts and your fasteners and you wonder what these washers are for, the only functionality these washers have on this kit is for building the tracks. You don't use these for putting any of the fasteners on, so this is the only functionality these washers have. And then you've got your bag of little split pins, and these split pins are the slightly thinner gauge, which makes life a lot easier when you bend them around into position ready for trimming. So that's that. The only tools you're going to need is a bench like this, of course, and a lot of bench. You're going to need a long length of bench to work on your tracks, a set of long nose pliers, and a set of really good cutters just to trim the split pins, and of course a pair of hands and a lot of patience. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to probably build 6 or so links in real time, then I'm going to speed up the whole process on one track, and then we'll go again on the next track just so you can see the length of these things when they're complete. So I'll, as I normally do, I'll reposition the camera and we'll get cracking. Okay, time to start track building. So I'm orientating the links around in the way Armortek show in their instructions, and initially I'm just going to pass or connect up these, just position them, interlocking them, and I'm probably going to go for 5 track links to start with. I'm going to take a pin. Now these pins have got this tiny little hole in the end, and that's for the split pin to pass through like that. But also the washer goes on. Once you pass this through, the washer goes on, a split pin goes through. Now remember I said about the swarf on the end of these? This is a good one, but it's also, it can be tricky to pass it through the hole in the link, but it's impossible to get the washer on the end, so you will need to clean these up. I've seen one here I've put to one side. Now what I try and do is I try and orientate so that the hole is upright. So when I pass this through and push that through to the end, the hole is upright. Just checking that. I'm going to do the same for this. Sorry, I know my hand's in the way a little bit. That just needs to be spun round a bit. Checking that one's fine. And this is one of these sort of jobs that once you get in the swing of it, so to speak, it becomes quite enjoyable as you start to see the whole thing come together. So there's our 4 pins in. Now I'll spin that round so you can see, hopefully. Next job is to take your little washer and hold the pin the other end, push the washer over the edge. Not so easy when you've got big old sausage fingers like myself, but perseverance. And once we've got these washers on, we can start passing the pins through. So these little split pins, you simply just drop these through the hole. And once you've got these in, that will trap the main pin. Bit of swarf in that hole there. Classic. Alright, that's through. Yeah, once we got these split pins in, that secures or traps the main pin, and that allows us to stand it up on edge like that. And then if you just arc it like that, it's not going to fall over. Next job, using your fingers, is to try and start the bending process of the little split pins. That just prevents them from accidentally falling out. You can see that. Let's see if I can bring that over a little bit. Just be careful here, because you will end up inevitably pricking yourself with one of these pins. All the joys of this part of the build. But as I said, once you get into the swing of it, it's almost like your muscle memory, and you kind of just go into autopilot, and before you know it, you've done 20 or so links. So that's there. Now they're not going to go out anywhere. Next job, we've got this. This is too long. We're going to be folding these back on themselves. So these pins are just far too long. So I'm going to trim these off. I typically take off. I try and make them the same size either side. I typically take off half of the longer length, and then try and match that. Because what you want these to fold around and actually sit within the gap within the link of the tracks. And you will always get one awkward one. I haven't really got one just yet, but you'll always inevitably get an awkward one. Then, using your long nose pliers, we're going to hold the back of the split pin, bend that round, both sides. Here comes the awkward one. That's right, that's done. And if you can't move that, because sometimes you can just work both sides of this. This is all the patience side of it. Got a lot of these to do. As I said, once you get into the swing of it though, it's I find it quite relaxing. Once I've done this bit and I've got into my... Hello cat. My pet cat Millie's come to see me. Right, we're almost done. Just rotate that run around. It can be fiddly, as you can see. And that's it. Now I'm going to hold that up. Hopefully you can see what we've done there. We've folded the pin back on itself, and that is what you're looking to do right across the board. Now it's as simple as that, really. So I'm going to now carry on. I'm going to reposition the camera a little bit, and then we'll crack on, and I'll get everything sped up so that we'll get to the end of the 85 links and see where we are. Right, so that's the first 85 links done. As I said, I've sped the whole thing up because it's hours and hours and hours of track building, but one side's done. So just a couple of things of note. Look, when you do these, you can either do it the way I do it, so I build it consecutively, link after link after link, and what I do is I mark it every like 20, 40, 60, 80, so I know that I don't lose count, and then I just do the last 5 or whatever the number is required. But there's nothing stopping you making it up in sections like this, you know, do a section like that, another section, and then join them all together at the end. So there's nothing stopping you doing that. Or in the end, I ended up cleaning all these pins up because I was really sort of getting frustrated with the amount of times I had struggled to put the washer over the main pin itself. So I would probably go about doing it that way, do all the pins ahead of starting to assemble the track. So really now the next thing for me to do is to go on and build the next side. But what I'm going to do now is show you how I put it onto the tank, install this on the tank, and just to see how well everything is meshing with the sprocket and the idler wheel, and also test out the track tensioning system for the first time. So I'm going to reposition the camera and get on and show you how I go about installing this onto the tank. So here we have my massive length of track. Now time to just test fit it onto the tank itself. Now I'm going to install this so that the split pins are on the outside. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to feed it from the back, because I want to join it here, roughly here on the sprocket here, because when the tank is complete, if I ever, you know, when I install the tracks for its final time, I'll be able to get access to this point here rather than any other part of the tank. So I'm going to, oh, by the way, you're going to need one of these, a spare pin, for just temporarily trapping it into place. So first things first, I'm going to slide, sorry, I think I just knocked the camera. I'm going to slide the track onto the wheels. I've elevated this on my table jack. Slide these through. I've also opened up the rear access to the track tensioning idler wheel, and when I come to do that, I'll show you. I'll probably try and reposition the camera. So that's pretty much where I want to be. No, a bit more. Now you're going to damage your paint when you're doing this, but don't stress, because that's all part and parcel of how it all weathers. Kind of want to be roughly there. That's fine. Leave that down there. Now it's got a lot of weight to it. So now what I'm going to do is, I know it's outside of the camera view, but I'm going to take this over the top. Now, it will try and snag on the bump stops, but that's perfectly normal. To try and get that to mesh. There we go, that's it. Take this round. I can see, you can see there's a gap. Now that's not to panic. What we're going to do is going to let off the track tensioning system. I'm going to slacken that. Sorry, I know it's outside the camera. I will show you this. Slacken that off. Remember, I set it to 50%. Now, just getting that really slack. Let's see if I can get that up another notch. Not quite. Be careful, because if this goes, there's a lot of weight there, so that it will want to derail. Just ever so patiently. coming, I can feel it. What I'll do now is I'm going to drop the table jack down just a little bit. I can find the wrench. There it is. I actually want to just trap that and drop it down so the weight's on the track. Now the weight's on the track, I can use that to pull that through. And then you can see that it's now lined up perfectly. So we get that pin. I'm just going to put it in the wrong way round just to hold them in place. Give that a bit of a... No need to put a split pin in it. Now I'm going to elevate the tank up again. Just want to see how that's going to roll around the sprocket and the wheels. Make sure everything is as I want it. Now I just want to that needs tightening up. So what I'll do is I'll reposition the camera and show you how we tension it up at the back. So I'm just going to wind the plug the other way. And let me come around here, and you should start seeing that idler wheel starting to move, and you start seeing a bit of tension applied to the track. Just see how we get on with that. That's better. Everything seems to be running as it should. It's not catching anything. It's so well set out, this. It's absolutely brilliant because it just, nothing is catching. It's just all fits perfectly. So you think you've got these bump stops and everything else that might interfere with the track, but it's not. And you can see that everything is working as it should. Really, really pleased with that. And I think I'm going to leave that set at that tension. Now, I'll remove the track so we can, I'll remove the track now so we can get it painted, put that to one side, then I'll start building the other track. Right, so happy with all of that, and so just need to locate this pin here, move that round to the point where I can get nice easy access to it. Hold on to this and pull the pin out. You've got to hold on to it because the weight in it will try and derail itself. And that is it. Now you will see on here some of the paint's already moved off the sprocket, but that is absolutely normal, not to worry about. And over time you will lose paint around the wheels and everything else, but it actually adds to the overall finished look. So I'm really pleased with that. Now I know that works, and 85 links is actually very accurate. I'll move on now. God, I'll tell you what, there's some weight in that. Absolute weight. There's the quality. That's what you're paying for, as well as everything else, but it's just this. So I'm going to actually call it a day. I'll come back to camera in a minute and talk about the next stage. that's as far as I'm going to go today. But you know, in one building session, I'm really pleased. You know, I've got 85 links, one side completed, test fitted onto the tank and running perfectly. So I'm really pleased with that. And if you are building one of these, you know, just pace yourself, because you know there's no medal at the end of it for finishing first. Just take your time, be patient, enjoy the experience, and you know, just try not to get too stressed or too frustrated with it. So I'm really pleased how that's gone. Just a couple of notes. So when you're doing this, if you are building one of these or you're looking to build one and you want to get into this, when you come to this stage of your build, don't stress about your paint. You know, paint's going to come off your sprocket, but don't worry, because when you've painted the tracks and the tracks are on, the paint from the tracks go onto the sprocket and it all kind of blends in and looks as it should do. So don't worry about that. And also, if your sprocket isn't 100% meshing perfectly with the track, again, don't worry about that, because these are cast elements, and some of the casts, I did clean up a few, but some of the casting parts have got just a bit of overspill, if you like, and over time the sprocket will just, it's all aluminium, it'll work itself through and it'll bed in perfectly. And over time, once you're running this amazing tank or something similar, you'll find that the track does loosen up a little bit and stretches a little bit, and you can do some adjusting on the back with your track tensioner. So I think as far as a build session is concerned, happy with that. In the next session, by the time I get to the next session, I'll go on and I'll build the other set of tracks away from camera, because you don't want to see that. It's just the same thing, but just another 85 links. But what I will do is, by the time I see you next, you'll be ready. We will test fit it onto the tank to make sure that side works perfectly. Then I'll take it off and then I'll show you how I paint the tracks, and then once they're painted, they can just go away until the end of the build. But in the meantime, I'm hoping, I've actually ordered all the option packs for this now, and I'm hoping they do turn up, and I may decide to do a video ahead of doing the tracks on putting in the motors, and just doing some testing on the motors and just go through that with you, because I just think that by the time I start building or closing off the top hull section, it may be tricky to get the motors installed. So I think now's the time to think about getting those in. Anyway, lots more to talk about, lots of things can change and lots of work to do, but it's all in this amazing hobby and such an enjoyable thing. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please give me a thumbs up, and if this is helping you or helping inspire you, let me know in the comments. It means a lot to me. And of course, if you're new to my channel, welcome and thank you for joining. And please do subscribe, because we've got a long way to go on this build. We have got heaps more work to do. And I'll sign off by saying, I'm Tony. I love this amazing hobby. I love interacting with you guys, and I really do appreciate all your support. I'll see you in my next build session. See you soon.